Kwa mga juanga teri kamane richo wenga ntiere chien kacha kamane jakomno mara riwruok mara okinde pachuka LSK Faith Odhiambo ne chiwo ote mare awinje kaka ote no chalo.
Was culpable for misinformation and should be banned from Kenya airwaves. The choir of absurdity has equally been joined by Member of Parliament for Dagoretti South, Mr. John Kiarie, who made despicable suggestions that one of Kenya's long-standing international allies had sponsored the BBC's recount of events, forming a dark part in our nation's history to advance some unqualified economic agenda. Such preposterous arguments and propaganda undermine the essence of parliamentary debate and put our country's august house in unnecessary disrepute and risk of ridicule. We remind elected representatives that the authority bestowed on them is held as a public trust and is for the benefit of the people of Kenya. Therefore, such contempt and haughtiness as we have witnessed is both shameful and undermines the obligations set out under Chapter 6 of the Constitution. We remind members of Parliament, in particularly those who are members of the bar, that under Chapter 6 of the Constitution, their role is to represent the people and not to defend the oppressors. And their constitutional duty to provide oversight does not contemplate that they instead justify unconstitutional actions sanctioned and committed by those they ought to oversight. Further, we call on all our other members who are elected parliamentarians that they have a greater duty than their colleagues on account of their oath of office as advocates of the High Court of Kenya. That oath cements their immutable responsibility to uphold the rule of law, which is cradle to protecting the right to life. The Law Society of Kenya is apprehensive that if the current volatile situation within the public and the national security organs persist or is further exuberated, Kenyan sovereignty, democracy, and constitutional will be at the brink of imploding. Accordingly, it is the duty of every right-thinking citizen, especially those entrusted with the positions of power and service, to take urgent, deliberate, and objective action to end the menace of extrajudicial killings, bring its perpetrators to book, and find justice for all victims of these heinous criminal elements within our security organs.
We have taken note of a status update released by the Independent Policing Oversight Authority on the 28th of April 2025, highlighting the steps it has undertaken to address some 60 cases of police brutality that have been registered with the authority. From the face of the update, it appears that several of the cases have been or are currently undergoing investigation. Unfortunately, and for reasons not disclosed by the authority, nearly a year later, only 6 of the investigations have been completed and escalated to the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions and/or the courts. This statistic is not only underwhelming, it is well near proof of dereliction of duty. In such times, laxity, complacency, and lack of urgency are tantamount to complicity. IPOA has overstretched the grace and patience of the Kenyan public, and we hereby put the authority on notice that they run the risk of being liable for refusal to act in accordance with their mandate. Nevertheless, we acknowledge that the resolution of these matters requires a collective approach involving all stakeholders and citizens. In the circumstances, the Law Society of Kenya appreciates that the country is in dire need of a paradigm shift, and we therefore recommend and demand as follows. 1, that the National Police Service Commission and the Independent Policing Oversight Authority escalates the investigations into the mass killings perpetrated by officers during last year's demonstrations to a priority status and works to resolve the outstanding cases, both registered and those not registered but within the public domain, within the shortest time practicable. Number 2, that the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions instructs the Inspector General of the National Police Service to sanction and undertake immediate investigations into each of the officers captured and identified in existing images and videos, meeting this proportionate violence against members of the public and or who are suspected of or implicated in the extrajudicial killings of innocent Kenyans. Number 3,